DRX proved why they are the group kings as they managed to get out yet again at another international event. But let's not kid ourselves, it wasn't pretty. Didn't start off pretty, but they managed to get there. Of course, I'm Golden Boy alongside with Brendan Sideshow here as we look to break everything down. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think right out of the gate, the most important thing to note here is that when this DRX team goes back to their fundamentals, they go back to the thing that we know and love about them, these are the results that they will end up getting.
Absolutely. The difference between the map pool is spectacular between Bind and Lotus and then the rest of the maps that they can play. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, with better coaching, this team would be in form to win a title.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, people are going to probably be listening to that and double-taking what you just said. Yeah. But genuinely, I feel like the caliber of talent that's on DRX currently, what was on display in all these moments when it just looked unbeatable. Imagine if they had that consistently with a much deeper map pool. And it's been a lack, I think it's just been the tossing and changing of all these players as well, trying to make the roles work by getting Zest and Foxy9 in, alternating all of that. It's made the team as a whole step back as well in terms of the overall level of prep they've been able to come into this event with.
I've got a question for you though. Now they've actually bought some time, they're going into playoffs. Are they going to be able, if they just stick with Zest from here on out, can they still make a deep run? Can they still, you know,
lock in?
I mean, it's way too tight of a turnaround because you've got to think as well. They've got one side of Bind that they need to work on as well. There's other maps which they're not even touching, like Lotus as their permaban. There are maps that are going to be in the playoffs with incredibly deep map pools. I mean, I don't want to discredit DRX. I think they've earned their spot here, right? You know, they've well-earned spot into the playoffs. But EG, Fnatic, Loud, three teams off the rip that I think have incredibly deep map pools, and it's necessary, I think, to go far in a playoff scenario.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you can see the interview setting up behind us, but for now, though, we are going to say goodbye to Foot Esports, a team that is always exciting to watch, and as well, they did the job that they needed to do, which was secure that top 3 EMEA seed for champs.
Bro, they didn't even need to win a game here, and they would have got to champs because
they just
Na'Vi
had to stay alive.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they could have turned up, gone 0-2, and still gone to champs.
Yeah,
but they didn't. They overperformed, but you know they were kind of gifted it by Na'Vi. Nevertheless, I think they'll be happy with what they accomplished today. They were all smiles even as they exited the stage because pressure's off them for the next few months, and they've never had a situation like that before. They've got a long time just to prep for those Champions games.
Really long time. Yeah, I mean, they get that entire gap as well between, you know, last chance qualifier and whatnot. If they wanted to stick around in Tokyo for a bit as well, they can get some really good scrim practice because they're out of the tournament. People might want to play against them as well here.
Well, let's actually get some words in with the man of the hour, the guy coming in to fill in a spot. It was Zest standing by with Yintu for our Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. I am joined by Zest, and Jen's going to help with some of the translations. Now, Zest, we didn't really expect to see you play today. So when did you find out that you were going to be subbed in, and what was the reason behind this change?
제스 선수 오늘 경기를 뛰게 됐다는 거를 이제 언제쯤 얘기를 들었는지 그리고 왜 이번 라인업으로 경기를 치르려고 했는지에 대해서 얘기해 주시죠.
팀 내부적인 사항이라 어디까지 얘기해야 될지는 모르겠는데 조금 급하게 되기는 했습니다.
I can't really tell you much because I might leak stuff, but I can definitely tell you that it was a little bit of last-minute decision.
Is there a major difference between the game plan when Foxy9 is playing and when you are playing? And how difficult is it, do you think, for you to just come in and kind of adjust?
일단 폭스9 선수가 라인업에서 뛸 때랑 제스 선수가 들어와서 뛸 때랑 뭔가 전략적이나 플레이 스타일에 있어서 많이 좀 다른 점이 있는지 그리고 뭔가 제스 선수가 들어왔을 때는 어떤 점을 중점적으로 운영하게 되는지 궁금합니다.
아무래도 전략이 막 다른 거는 없긴 한데 제가 들어옴으로 이제 플레이 스타일이 달라지기 때문에 그리고 또 제가 주도적으로 하는 것도 많아서 아마 보시는 분들이 뭐 전략이 다르다고 느낄 수 있을 것 같아요.
적응하는데 힘들지는 않나요? 이렇게 갑자기 들어오게 되면?
힘들긴 한데 빡세게 하면 또 가능합니다.
It's tough adjusting, of course, but it's not impossible. So yeah, and I just feel like I can be more proactive and like I can make the calls when Stacks is down. So people might feel like we're using different strategies, and yes, our play style does change when Foxy9 plays and when I play.
Well, you guys, you always get out of group stage, you know, it's not new for you, but it did look a little bit more challenging. Did you feel that way, and if so, why?
항상 그룹 스테이지는 통과한 DRX인데 이번에도 통과했지만 좀 이번에는 살짝 힘든 감이 없지 않나 싶었어요. 실제로도 그렇게 느꼈는지 또 왜 그렇다고 생각하는지 알려주시죠.
이번에는 사실 저희도 좀 힘들 거라 예상하긴 했었어가지고 저희끼리 이제 뭐 긴장하지 말자고 농담식으로 이제 뭐 지면은 한국 일찍 가지 뭐 이런 식으로 얘기하기도 했었고요. 근데 또 저희의 목표는 그룹 스테이지가 아니라 항상 우승이기 때문에 또 열심히 하겠습니다.
Well, we kind of saw that coming. We thought that getting past the group stage was not going to be easy. And we even joked around ourselves saying, oh yeah, if you lose, we're going home early. So yeah, we got nothing to lose. But at the end of the day, our ultimate goal is a trophy. And yeah, I'm just so glad that we're keeping our chances alive for that champion title.
You're not going home just yet, Zest. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Jen, for translating. There is one more game left of the group stage, the final showdown between T1 and EDG. But before that, here are the Prime Gaming post-match highlights.
It's uncomfortable situation for DRX to be in, and for Foot, well, the grass is just going to continue to get greener on their side of the field as they have already punched their ticket to champions. They're just playing with that house money. It's DRX, it's Foot. This is going to be good.
They've gotten into half, now the reset, and now the fight. Kiwi on the snap, Kiwi on the shots. And they asked for it. Where was it coming? It's coming courtesy of Kiwi 1. Killer instinct activated.
Twinning the TP.
Yeah, that's not what the intent was. RB with 2. Spam expecting to pre-fire. Buzz finds the timing on Mr. Fall, and it's all Maj by himself. Maj is healthy! Foot walk away with the win, 13-9. Only taking one with him. Mako on the swing. Buzz finding value with it.
Oh gosh.
Zest is still here. He's playing far off. All he has is a classic though, and the classic works! Buzz with 3, and we're tied at 5.
He's going for the knife.
We got a knife? What kind of skin
The
is there on the
stun
knife?
too to try to catch him.
What's the skin on the knife? Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Sax is only one far off though. Buzz has already gotten 2. Make that 3.
We're going to map 3. Wouldn't have it any other way for DRX.
He doesn't spot him at all! RB with 2, robbed of the 3rd, courtesy of Mako. Finally landing it, switching weapons and getting them all. And the defenses of DRX are crumbling. You see him trying to funnel out of the site, trying to flood their way through! But Zest with 2 and Mako does it as well. DRX obliterate Foot and punch their ticket to playoffs.
Welcome back, everybody. There is one spot left in that playoffs, and it's going to come down to EDG or T1. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I'm joined by Mimi and Kakuka. I didn't think that it was going to come down to these teams, Kakuka, but here we are.
I think it's very exciting because I think that in every single event, we have one or two teams giving us that big story that everybody has eyes on, and I think it could be either of these two teams.
Yeah, both of them have already made a run that has surprised people. Both of them have already broken their expectations. And the thing is that either way, if either of these teams make it into the playoffs, it will be
We have a story. We have a headline.
There's too many stories, I feel like. But this is a rematch. We have seen this matchup already in this tournament. And the last time we saw a Mimi, it went to the way of T1, but marginally went to the way of T1.
Yeah, this is one of the craziest games already in the groups between these two. It was a 2-1 victory for T1, but they just only barely got it over the line. It was a 14-12 win on Pearl versus EDG. And it looked like for EDG, it was going to be the same story as always, where they get knocked down to lower bracket in heartbreaking way, and it all falls apart. But they've really been able to recover despite losing this first time.
And we've been talking about T1 and the improvement that they've had as a team and as a squad, but as you're saying, it was not a comfortable win. And of course, coming into this rematch, the story for this two has changed a bit. T1 are coming from a loss. EDG is coming from beating Navi. Of course, you know, Navi has not been what we expected this tournament and what many people thought they were going to be at the beginning of this year, but they just beat, for the first win, a team that has won a Masters event.
Yeah, it's crazy that they were able to pull it off. And that first matchup as well that they played, it really, I think, showed the depth that these teams have, that they can play that slower style on their attacking sides, really bring out the strategy that people wouldn't have expected looking at these teams' names and their past success, but also can still dive into that chaos and show the prowess of their individuals.
I'm glad you mentioned that because the momentum is so important. We saw what it can do for teams. China's first win for EDG, but in this rematch, I do want to bring out a stat because Kakuka, traditionally at international tournaments, the team that loses the first matchup have a 67% chance of winning the second one. So it's looking good for EDG.
You love the hope here.
I love it. I love it.
Definitely, but it's the story. Just imagine if we had EDG not only making it to playoffs, but actually having a miraculous run throughout the entire tournament. Even if just for making playoffs, I would say most people would say it is enough.
Yeah, and look at the emotion on their face. That was first off of their loss against T1, where it was again that heartbreak that they have felt so many times, making it to 2 international events before this one and always pushing it so close. But then they come out, they play incredible versus Navi, and it invigorates them. And for Kung Kung, in the post-match interview, he said that for his team and for Chinese Valorant as a whole, that this is just a start. It's just a beginning for them.
Yeah, it was a very cold quote from Kung Kung there. You know, he's not satisfied with just one win. He wants it all. We've spoken to him a few times, and he's just like, I don't even want to be China's #1. I want to be the world's #1.
He has such a big personality, and I'm so happy that he's able to translate that into the server. He's an operator demon, and we love to see it.
Yeah, and also, we saw a lot of the heroic moments, Mimi, that EDG were pulling out against Navi, the individual brilliance. And if they pull that out again today,
yeah, I mean, they could just win it. It was ridiculous, the stuff they were doing. It looked like in so many moments that Navi was going to be able to rally back, and at every chance, EDG had a player who stepped up. And more times than not, it was Kung Kung with the ridiculous plays on the operator or on the blades, but it really was a team effort. Everyone had their moment in this match.
I loved Smoggy, for example. He was, I think, had a major role in what happened yesterday, and maybe it's again that situation where teams underestimate their opponents or maybe think that, you know, they can ego peek into them and it's going to be fine because, you know, you have Seketsu, you have Shao. Those kind of things usually go your way. It didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah, and what's insane is that stat as well. 44 of their rounds, they had a multi-kill in. They had 9 clutches across that series, and it was a 2-0. It was all these crazy hero plays keeping them in it.
Yeah, speaking of the teamwork, Kung Kung himself said Nobody and Haldong was the ones that also helped them mentally push it over the line. And speaking of Nobody, I had a catch-up with him earlier outside the arena. Hello, 你好, 你好, Nobody, 欢迎回来, welcome back. Now, yesterday was a really important game that you guys won. How much confidence does it give you going into today's game?
因为昨天你们获得了这个赛季的首胜嘛，非常厉害。想问一下，对于小组赛出线这件事，包括今天这场比赛，你们有多大的信心呢？
其实我们上一次是输给了 T1， 但是其实我们一直很有信心，然后赢了Navi之后，会更是使我们信心倍增，所以我觉得我们今天是必胜的。
Definitely yes. I think for today, for yesterday's matchup, maybe we made a little mistakes, but we figured it out. And after we win Navi, and it definitely gave us confidence for today's matchup. I think we're gonna win today.
Well, thank you very much. 谢谢，加油。Well, he is confident. I mean, you are going to be confident after beating Na'Vi, but the fact of the matter is, Mimi, T1, they beat them once already, so they have that for them behind them.
That is true, and T1, after beating EDG, went on to play NRG incredibly close in that upper bracket. People thought that this team might just roll over versus a stronger squad like NRG, but they were able to compete with them not just strategically, but also in the individual performance.
Yeah, but also I think that they need to reflect now that they're in this position. Of course, the mental is not the same, and also I feel like the pressure is way more on them, way more on T1, because they're expected to perform and not repeat that same situation where rounds are literally that close.
And they have a chance to do something special here. They have a second chance at it. Ever since Masters Reykjavik, the only Korean team to ever make it out of groups and make it to playoffs at an international event has been DRX. And for T1, this is their opportunity to be the first time in forever that Korea has a second team that can compete at the top level internationally.
And it would definitely be the highlight, because even though DRX just qualified, it's kind of something that everybody expected, but the fashion in which it happened, it didn't give them that boost. Everybody's going to be speaking and talking about T1 if they manage to make it today.
I mean, you mentioned the NRG matchup already. What did you see from that one? Did you feel like maybe they could have qualified down that route already?
I think they could have. I think it came down to kind of a lack of depth in the map pool later in. But in the first map on Lotus in particular, I was really impressed with how they were calling on their attacking side. During the halftime interview, Autumn was talking about how much emphasis he put with this team on prepping their attack against NRG's generally weaker defense, and they did it in being able to constantly exploit the fact that NRG was so passive after initially failing with these really aggressive plays, and their mid-round decision-making was great against a team that we're normally talking about being the best in the world at mid-rounding.
Do you feel like what we saw from T1 against NRG Bear is enough for them to beat the EDG we saw yesterday?
No, but I do think that as well as I was talking about the pressure, it's about the fact that you have to play several days in a row. You have to prove that you have the resilience, the making the mistakes and actually learning from them in a very short period of time. This is all the international events is about.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because learning from our mistakes. Kong, he gave T1 a run for their money last time, and this is what Ban had to say about how they plan to deal with him today. Ban, hi, come and join me. Hello, today is a very, very important game for you guys. It's a rematch. Last time, I think Kong was doing very, very, very well against you guys, caused you a lot of problems. How do you plan to shut him down today?
I think we're going to use your utility very well today to shut him down, not let him get any chances in general, and I think that'll do the trick.
Yeah? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you very much, Ban. Best of luck. They are going to shut Kong down today. I think he even said it was going to be easy.
Good luck.
Whatever. Mimi, do you believe that?
I don't think it's ever going to be easy to shut down Kong. What he was doing yesterday was absolutely absurd. And in the first match between these two, he was diffing Saya in the opening kills. Kong has been so consistently insane for this team.
Yeah, exactly. And with the operator and going back to the ego picking and actually giving him the confidence, I feel like he's the kind of player that if you're going to duel him time and time again, he will only feel more comfortable doing so because he's going to be successful most of the times. Do you remember when we had Benkai here and he was saying, hey, we know if we're playing against DRX, we just dodge Mako wherever he is? I feel like with Kong is literally the same situation.
The thing about Kong though is that he can be so proactive, especially in the later parts of these games. He's the guy who is stepping up, who is making that play to push them over the line. And I mean, yesterday he was going crazy as well. He started off playing the Jet, and then he switches over to playing Gecko, and the guy is still opping, still finding the same value and finding insane clips. It's just absurd the performance he's having right now.
This is the thing though, Kong is getting better, Kakuka, somehow. Yes. They couldn't shut him down last time. I don't know, I'm a little bit worried.
He's getting the momentum, he's getting it forward. I feel like the duty here for Saya is actually finding his place in the round and actually the duties that he has to take. For example, if you feel like that first duel is not going to be easy, just go for a deeper run. Just go for a very much harder execute where you can shine in the mid round, where you don't have to be necessarily the first one going in, so those heroics can actually shine.
And I think this game will be defined by these two players. On their attacking sides, both squads really like starting these rounds slower, oftentimes picking up the attack side operator and putting a lot of emphasis in getting that opening pick with the off that they can mid-round round through. The thing is, that's how they want to start, but it will also oftentimes end in chaos where these two, again, have to step up and close rounds for their team.
Do you guys think we're going to see the same maps today from the rematch?
It could be. It's likely because of how close every single map was, it makes sense.
Well, let's find out because our coaches are ready for map select, and let's see if we're going to head to the same maps today.
Okay, let's get started. T1, you are higher seed because you come from the upper bracket of your group. Do you want Team A or Team B? A. Team A. Okay, so we'll start with T1, your first ban. A ban split, your ban. Ascent, map number 1. Fracture, side on fracture. Attack, map number 2. Haven, side on Haven. Defense. Okay, we're gonna go to the next set of bans starting with T1. You have Bind, Lotus, and Pearl. They ban Bind, you have Lotus and Pearl. Ban Pearl, map number 3 will be Lotus, side on Lotus. Defense. Okay, we're gonna run through this really quick. First set of bans, we have T1 with Split, EDG with Ascent. Map number 1 is Fracture with EDG on Attack. Map number 2 is Haven with T1 on Defense. Next set of bans are Bind and Pearl. Map number 3 will be Lotus with T1 on Defense. Good? Alright, good luck to you both, guys.
This is it, a do or die fight for the final spot at playoffs here at Masters Tokyo, and it comes down to T1 and EDG. No matter what happens, it will be a historical moment. This is the thing though, Mimi. We have a peculiar matchup where I don't know if one team is even necessarily the favorites.
I don't think there is a favorite in this one, and I think the first match between the two proved it. It came down to a third map, overtime, for T1 to get it across the line. But since then, EDG, they've gone to the lower bracket. They've broken through their story. They beat Na'Vi. They have their first international win, and now someone just has to stop them.
And EDG wants to make this right. We have seen the map veto. The two first maps are going to be the same as last time. If they're going to make it out of groups, it has to be the direct improvement from what happened last time and actually being able to get those closing maps for them.
And for two teams who have only just gotten their first win at an international event, this is where the pressure is on to prep for a rematch. It's hard in these group stages. You're playing match after match, day after day. You don't have a lot of time to turn around a new idea. And that's what they're going to have to do there, especially since it is the same first two maps, like you were saying.
Honestly, they had me. I thought maybe we were going to get Pearl, but EDG were the ones to choose not to go to Pearl despite overcoming their demons on Pearl.
Maybe they think that they have become too readable. Maybe they think that they cannot improve much on the map. Maybe they don't enjoy the meta, probably, or they think that they have a better chance. If everything is going to come to a third map, let it be a new one.
It's going to be interesting if we do get there, but we're starting the series on a perfect rematch here of Fracture, which for T1, this is where they play their double duelist comp. They looked electric versus EDG in that first game. And EDG on the other side are running that solo duelist comp with the Jet, where they're putting a lot of emphasis on Kung Kung. And I think they kind of struggled to deal with, especially the Flood retakes that were really good out of T1.
I mean, let's have a look at the Prime Gaming agents. So, like, you guys mentioned the double duelist already versus Kung Kung, but it was Saya Kakuka on this map that came on top, despite Kung Kung kind of coming online later on.
I think that it brings you the flexibility to have to duelists, especially when you're going against a team that is very execute heavy, that has all the support building up for Kung Kung. If you want the flexibility to be supportive in different parts of the map and definitely make make it fast, that double duelist relieves a lot of the pressure on just playing a single one.
It absolutely does, but for EDG, this comp actually lets them slow it down a little bit more sometimes on this Fracture. You have a lot of cancel options with this double initiator, with those two abilities in the stun and the flash that are going to be recharging in the mid-round. So EDG have a lot of options with this one. We'll have to see if it'll be a different outcome.
Well, the last one was a giga banger, and I have no doubt this one is going to be as well. As we head into map 1 with your casters for today, it is Pansy and HyperX.
I couldn't ask for a better situation here, Mike. We get a rematch between these two. And it was a bloodbath before, right? Let's not mince our words with this. That was absolutely insane. Now, they've both taken different routes to get back to this point, however. We've come back to one thing that's at least a similarity, which is the map pool. So what do we make of it, seeing this video look similar?
This is interesting. I'm not sure if EDG just come away, kind of want to stick to, obviously, what they know of. I mean, the bands are the same. Haven's the one that kind of sticks out for me, though. And again, obviously talking map 2 first, but that second half of Haven for T1 did not look good at all. They relied on the recovery factor, obviously bounced back into the decider, yes, but Fracture's one that actually, I think in terms of form, and the big highlight for me, obviously being Kang, Smoggy yesterday was absolutely bonkers throughout that series. So if he actually has a little bit of a swing up here, we could see a different result on Fracture in my eyes.
Yeah, living a little in the shadow of the Colossus, but it's completely reasonable when you've got a superstar in the making on your side. I think he's turned attentions around the world. But Kang, that guy is absolutely incredible.
Man of the hour.
Truly, truly. Now, is that just going to be a group stage performance that turns some heads, or will it make it to the playoffs? We're going to find out now. T1 going to kick things off on that defending side, and of course that then means EDG get to dictate that pace on the attack.
Slow start actually here from EDG. Do have a little bit of pressure from Chichu towards Arcade, potentially when contact comes through here. Oh, Sire's going to be able to really have a say in this, because there's not going to be too, well, I was going to say EDG. Forced away by the smoke actually, a big gap towards A site, but no control of Dish as of yet. EDG just invest all in towards main here.
And T1 feeling no necessity to move just yet, not going to bring that additional player back towards 8. Giving a lot towards Munchkin in his capability here. He's posted up on it, does have a turret as well. That should be ringing the alarm bell. Smoke soon to follow as well, just going to be littering the side. This will be instantly a retake. It's more kind of looking towards the likes of Chichu maybe to try and find something here. Again, this shouldn't be a problem just yet.
I was going to say, how late does Chichu actually sit on this? Because Munchkin's coming to hard clear. And he's so deep here, he's going to find him. Chichu completely unaware, but still gets the kill.
That's unbelievable. Now T1, how much value can they get? Nothing. Nobody takes down 2, maybe even 3 actually, tell a lie. And it's left Ban with everything in front of him. 4 players to try and locate. And that fumble up by Dish could definitely haunt them here. And feeling almost like it's impossible. Just being chipped away at by Smoggy. You keep everyone else holding that cross. EDG got everything they wanted on that start.
It doesn't really come down to much, but Munchkin, with a good read on the situation, obviously, to come through and remove that possibility of EDG having a little more control on the north side, but swing through the smoke, 3 players of T1 fall as they try to collapse on Sands. Unfortunate turn of events here. Looks like T1 might even be stacking up to get a little bit aggressive.
What are they bringing in? I'm only seeing a Sheriff so far for Ban, and that's it, so...
Just going to stun off and try and swing this.
Do well on the stun.
Smoggy.
Okay, well, this round's all but over, isn't it? Sire player just sitting up towards the site, going to hear these steps. How much damage can one man do? Smoggy is low, so I guess there's a chance he could do something towards that. Plant's going to come in. That's now down. Smoggy get caught up here. Already 2 big kills. There it is. First, any more? No, not to be. So EDG keeping it clean, but looks like T1 were willing to brawl on it.
Trying to get something done here early on, but EDG previously, I mean actually versus T1 as well, constantly stacked up. Chichu, yes, disconnecting in a couple of these early defaults, but it'll be difficult for T1 to really get anything going in that regard.
I'm scared of seeing Smoggy's ult so close, and especially on a map like Fracture, that feels like a given. Try and do that in the bonus. That's going to put T1 right under the gun now.
That lineup is ridiculous.
Wow.
T1 stacked up outside, well, towards A main here. EDG creeping in dish. Not going to be any utility here with Munchkin rotating across towards B site. Sire has deep control towards main. Trailblazer ready to go as soon as the smoke drops, I imagine.
Trying to fold on this. Paint shell to go through, but it's a 1-for-1 trade out. Can they escape in time? And here comes the pressure from the other side. Dropping down by Dish. Sight's going to be theirs. EDG looking to try and retake this fight. Zeta, though, lovely little hold there. Going to try and keep some composure, but look who's hunting him. Gunkang already there. Makes light work of one, and the follow-up from Smoggy makes this comfortable as T1 crumbling under this. That ult came on perfectly. The crunch to follow as well. And T1 looking for miracles from Munchkin. And he's got a clear sight first, and the cross will be watched too. No utility, spotted, chip down, dealt with. EDG, converting bonus too.
A huge financial cushion now created. I think even previously, I believe, Kankang, we saw that Bladestorm round 2 orb farm. In a similar situation to start off the first half here, but a round in hand. T1 tried to get a little proactive, and even though I was saying it before this round, they actually identify the weaker side of this default. But the pinch comes through perfectly. EDG just flood out of drop all the way into the backside of main. There's nothing really T1 can do in that situation.
T1 left shattered a little here. Seeing stingers, marshal, sheriffs, bits and bobs. It'll be a rough one to try and do some damage on.
Well, last time, I believe we saw T1 revert very quickly back towards just focus on retakes. Whether or not this is the same sort of thing they're going to test early on. Light investment here, stingers, some sheriffs, and a marshal, but...
Chichu's timing here. Munchkin once again. Yeah, feeling a little bit of that. Again, they are on a bit of a half buy, if anything. Going to deny the initial plant, that's not bad. Maybe allow that smoke to dissipate slightly further, give them a chance to do some damage on the way back out from it. This time though, plant goes in. Smoke should be fading soon enough, but for now they at least get a little bit of cover to play behind EDG.
So actually, what damage is possible here, to be honest. Carpe tagged up, Kankang going to swing onto this fight too.
One enemy remains.
It's a formality at this point. On clean-up duty, there will be a Prime Gaming flawless here. I believe we did see a very early timeout as well from T1. And like I said, that was when you saw the switch. Conceding a lot of space, they didn't want to get proactive and happy to actually stack up, play numbers in a retake.
Gotta start seeing a little bit more from T1 here. Feeling like the understatement of the century, but they haven't been particularly doing much damage either. So far, side player 2 kills and he's leading the board. So need to get a little more active in this one. EDG kind of walking through the matchup so far. Converting the bonus obviously is the dream effect. Having that ult ready to go in that time, also fantastic. See what they bring in this time around. EDG slow and cautious to challenge towards A. This puts a lot on Ban here.
He's fairly committed as well. Very deep position. EDG looking to slow things down. What's an anticipation of T1 flipping the switch and getting a little more aggressive? I mean, it is the heavier stack this side, but man, swings up to 2, Kankang will punish.
And that's the first pick found, and still above a minute.
So many options.
Exactly, that's a great outcome for EDG. The patience going to pay off here.
I've got your trail.
And we know they can play that fast pace if necessary. So Renee's going to at least slow down the ability to springboard off the back of those Seekers, but they're still going to try and forge that path through. Munchkin forced to rescind quite far back. He could be hunting down here, but Chichu actually just missing that window of opportunity, but he could catch Sire player potentially. Could continue along that path, but with the spike now down, T1, let's see if they look better in these retakes. Already Zeta going to find Howdong. That's not a bad beginning.
Sorry, should swing onto this. Yeah, Chichu actually able to get away, and a little bit of a missed opportunity, Lauren.
Certainly is. But look who's on the site. Not anymore. Massive from Zeta. That's a big step. More. They've got it. Munchkin to find nobody. They're doing exactly what they needed. The change up here from T1, seeing a little deeper, even after losing out that first player. Diffuse is already towards halfway. Nothing to deny it now. Beautiful. Excellent round from Zeta. And exactly what the doctor ordered for T1. Mike, I think they heard you there. changing up for that retake rather than those early challenges, maybe excluding ban.
I was going to say, yeah, and this is after conceding the first blood. The aftershock seemed a million miles off here from Smoggy. Very strange to see, but T1 on the back of Zeta execute this game plan perfectly. Curious if that's actually now something T1 will latch onto. Problem being, Kankang now has an operator and the Blade Storm available.
Yeah, this guy is terrifying. I think we all know that by now. Have to see what he can achieve in this. That slow style does give him a little more room to play as well. I doubt Ban's going to be readdressing any of that aggression he ran with last round, and that's a very early investment of the ults. And it's all for nobody. Who's come out of this, still standing, still just fine. Hold on! This is a mistake from T1, almost losing everything. And while this happened, they took towards the site. EDG looking towards the B site already. A little bit of a trade, yes, but they get themselves Spike ready in hand. Maybe a plant to be tested soon. And a player advantage at this point is massive as well.
Zeta and Carpe left to try and recover this. So we've got some utility to work with. Chichu tapping the spike. Molly will land. It won't force Chichu out of position though. Still a safe plant.
Spike planted.
So I'm looking at the timing for Kung at this point, but Zeta going to take those first couple of steps. He wants to go quick. Try and get ahead of the lockdown, and he can't. Chichu greets him with a smile. Kung will lose his life, but it's Chichu on the counter swing to be just perfectly positioned. EDG, again, answering back here.
And again, Sire spots nobody here outside Dish, and very quickly T1 make a decision to try and isolate him with the Rolling Thunder, but I don't think either player actually positions anti-flash, which means nobody actually punishes on the back of that investment, on the back of further T1 aggression.
I'm a little worried seeing T1 here. I want to see a timeout soon. If they can't correct now, I want to see the pumping of the brakes.
I mean, you've got lots of tools now, obviously Rolling Thunder invested, but everything else available. It's gone up here for Ban, but removed immediately.
That's heartbreak for Ban. He is being bullied around this map. Wow, player. There's so many players waiting for this.
Flash through.
Anything? Okay. It's still favorable traits for EDG. They still hold 4-3. Munchkin, oh, you're very fortunate to be standing. Chichu waiting, foiled. Oh, it's just perfect. EDG are outclassing T1 in this. Looking a little behind the curve as Carpe and Zeta need to try and get a move on if they want to try and catch him in the heels, but the opportunity's dwindled already. The plant's going to be theirs. Time's going to be on their side.
EDG are just so quick to react and set up some of these pinches. I think T1 are feeling like, because Kang has the operator, that's where the stack is, the heavier side of this default, which is why they look to get aggressive outside Dish, but it's another example of EDG almost baiting T1 into a false sense of security. And I'm with you, we need to see a timeout. How we do need to see an adjustment.
This is T1's pick. If you're just tuning in, didn't see the veto. Fracture was their first choice, really. This is what they've lent towards, feeling this was their best opportunity. And EDG have come out swinging. This has looked extremely comfortable. If we're kind of talking, you know, let's say consideration from last game to this one when they faced off, not the one in between, EDG, if not, look, you know, fantastic. They're much better. Confidence is there. We kind of discussed the idea of, you know, how's that momentum going to look? How's that confidence going to look? It suits them beautifully. Cutting a fantastic figure with them now. Money swelled to a brilliant point. I'm looking for the timeout. I think it's come in for T1 here. They still have a lot of kit to play with, at least in the form of the ults. So they could have something to lean into here. But it's not just that. It's
these rounds aren't getting to the point where ults become the deciding factor for T1 there. I believe last time they actually won out in terms of their defensive half on First Bloods. Now this, a stark contrast to that. And I gotta say, there's some situations where it's reminiscent of Pearl, where there's not much utility invested towards these openers. Sire's not necessarily supported. Ban, unfortunately, getting slapped about in terms of opening peaks here.
Ban's on 0-7 currently. And look, sometimes you have a bad game. That's what it is, but you want to see him doing a little bit more than that. Again, kind of when we first looked towards T1 as a team, we kind of discussed how Ban was that confidence player. Him having this start is actually extremely worrying. This could really hinder his progress going forward. This could be something we look at, you know, does this continue throughout the series? Does he get a nice little change up? Does that mental get switched into effect later on? Beyond that, but to be completely honest though, I wouldn't say this is just a, you know, Ban having a bad map, you know, being completely influential to the outcome. Everyone from T1 is struggling to find impact here against EDG. This has to be a whole ethos rework, complete change up here. Let's see what the timeout has achieved. So they're going to go back in with a little bit of kit, not fully situated, but looking like they're going to try and buy around whatever they can.
Yeah, Bulldog in the hands of Munchkin. Rifles for Cyan, Ban. It's a Sheriff here for Zeta, and that's just a full shield for Carpe.
Look at nobody. He's just drifting.
He's literally just walking up to challenge the smoke. I mean, Cyan luckily has read it with the boom bot. I don't know if maybe he saw something on the edge of that smoke, maybe a mini-map ping, but again, it's just one player of EDG. Yeah. Look how much respect he is commanding on the mini-map. There's 4 people here from T1 fixated on this position now.
I think they're starting to read into it though a little bit. They started to consider that rotation, 2 of them kind of drifting back through CT, but see how close EDG are to just kind of springboarding onto that B site. Kangkang already starting to take those first couple of tentative steps, but we know the player who's here on the other side is going to be Munchkin. It's that pretty deep. No one's actively challenging this.
Maybe looking for a retake here of the showstopper, the orbital strike, and the lockdown. This doesn't come through just yet.
Lucky to be breathing. Kangkang wants this pick. Waits for 3, pulls the trigger, doesn't get anyone on the other side. There's the lockdown. So they have a lot of tools here, Mike. Do they get the chance to even really
Nobody's reflanking.
This is dirty.
He's coming back towards spawn.
This is dirty work.
Molly will buy time here while the lockdown goes down. Chichu has 2 nano swarms, but nobody is aware of this.
How much can this one man do? He's closing the gap. They're going to be crossing towards the side. Kangkang is holding them in position. The flank's going to be there in a moment's time. There it is between the 2 of them. It's deadly. And now Sideplayer and Munchkin have no good options. So many players to find, and none of them falling. EDG are just miles ahead of T1.
The perfect storm, honestly. The timing here of the Molly, I don't even know when the penny drops for nobody. To reflank back through Dish there. But nobody from T1 considered the possibility. Just so happens, Kangkang will still go. I mean, he's good for 3.
Of course he is.
Still in this situation. Yeah, EDG in total control.
That was kind of a half buy, so I guess, but still, they invested behind it. This is the buy that they're going to be hopefully making some impact on the board. We have the operator out for Ban. Need to see T1 come online, because this is tragic so far. Getting bullied around this map.
One thing EDG are really good at, in terms of early round indicators, they're so good at switching up who takes first contact, who shows first presence. So T1 are left scratching their heads of where Kangkang is, where's the operator.
Look at the amount of freedom he's got here as well. Even the fact that he's got this far with feeling no pressure certainly gives you a couple of answers to the questions you may have, and T1 sitting a little deeper. They do have a player watching it! Bloody hell!
He's so quick.
He's actually nuts, isn't he? A real treat to watch throughout all of the games. Ban now has to be prepared. Flash going to force him off the angle. Has to fall away. And the pace has just changed here. They're allowing time for Kangkang just to take those steps around the map. He's got that first pick again. They are down to about 35 seconds though, so they will have to lean in towards one of these 2 sites.
I mean, T1 have the correct read here though, that Kangkang's found the pick, and they're going to drift back towards B, but this B site setup will be tested once again. And Sideplay just none the wiser.
Oh, but Munchkin is on the case this time, going to find 2. 17 seconds now. Spike not on the site. This could be the first big round for T1 to win in some time. And Carpe wants to do it himself. 10 seconds now. All down to Chichu, and this is tough. Ban still standing. Munchkin just around the corner. Spike's down. But so is Chichu. T1 finally get another on the board.
How many of those sorts of rounds, though, can T1 pull off? And they have to win a couple more to chip away at this cushion that EDG have. And Carpe goes huge here with the walk out of the smoke. rewarded with 2, but again, bigger picture. Is that sustainable? Is that the sort of game that T1 want to play here on Fracture? Still got the showstopper, still got the orbital strike. But EDG building back into a couple of big ultimates themselves. One off the lockdown as well.
Look at this again, nobody trying to sell him something over towards A, but I'm looking at Kang here trying to make progress. Arcade, the first port of call. Munchkin tucked behind the box, not wanting to take any of that fight.
How deep does Kang actually go here? There's no second peek behind Munchkin. Ban has his sights set towards main. Looks like EDG are actually stacking up here to pop on the back of this.
Well, Ban's done well. And actually Munchkin does incredibly well, still to find one. Takes down Howdong, that's not bad. Ban starting to activate a little, needs to fall away, has to go up the site. EDG gonna take a little bit of that room the other side. Now,
nobody's creeping on this.
Yeah, hold on. It is a beautiful flash through the smoke. Ban gets punished for lingering just a little bit further ahead. Sire player might have the timing right, might not. Gorgeous adjustment, nobody's gone down. But it is this man, the one and only, standing tall and taking one. Falls away, finds safety. He's gonna dip back in, he wants a bit of it, doesn't he? You can tell he wants it. He's waiting though. 2 already this round, we'll need 4. Here's the steps. And waits, and waits, and waits a second too long. Sire player will find him, move him. Give T1 a little bit of a window.
Even in that situation there, nobody's happy to get aggressive on that smoke, paying no respect to T1.
Get out of my way! I've got you.
And even here, Ban digging pretty deep actually. To find this kill onto Chichu. 7-3 now. Again, well, Kang buying the operators down to 200 credits now overall, but still some big ultimates to work with. Should be pretty comfortable for the next. I'm curious actually of what adjustment we see coming out of this timeout.
Yeah. One away from the lockdown for Munchkin, that can be something to keep in mind throughout this, but yeah, they still have a good couple of these ults to play with. Haven't seen much chance to really use them at this point, so might be able to bring something out. I'm looking at Kang actually not seeing him run the operator here. Might have switched that out. Again, this is during the timeout, so maybe discussing their options.
Yeah, potentially here to make use of a Rolling Thunder, and actually they want to get Kang now deep onto site. Maybe leans towards looking back at A side potentially.
Back on the operator.
Back on the operator, yeah.
Yeah, maybe just...
They talked him out of it.
Yeah, we did see him kind of switch away from it. I think it was like an OT, and it felt like, oh, if only he'd stuck on it. But yeah, sticking on the operator there, it feels like they were maybe considering, as you highlighted, working with one of those ults, maybe a little bit more pacey, but he feels he can still be as influential with that operator, sure.
I will say that obviously playing the rifle in this round does protect that round 12 purchase, so
true.
Have to see what gap there is, if any, after this.
Yeah, big investment, but a big player behind it, so see what he can do for it. For starters, a little bit of noise made towards B, flash there.
Yeah, strange actually, because the stim beacon's thrown down by Howdong. Trying to fake heavy presence here towards B site and fake off this lockdown, but Carpe will be able to remove it.
Actually, just seeing Carpe kind of drift back towards A as well. I think they're reading this quite nicely.
Absolutely, and look at Ban's position as well. He's all the way out of dish.
But it will be a retake. There's no way they challenge on this, right? I'm not worried if they drift further committed towards the side, but no, they're going to keep this one a little in check, allow EDG those precious steps towards the side to get the plant down on A. Kang just going to be on that defensive duty, trying to watch anyone trying to peek through that smoke. Oof. Lucky to be alive.
Howdong does burn up the molly as well. I was curious to see if he actually resets all the way towards main here to make use of that. No way is Chichu coming to reflank back behind drop once again.
It looks like he's going to try to. Sire player looking for the impact, but the flashes are just everywhere. He's so blind in this. Unable to really shut down towards it, unable to close down towards it, but Ban's there, Carpe's there. How long still on the side did get healed up, so he's still holding a good bit of ground. Couldn't get the other fight. It's all down to that wrap, that flank, that Chichu position. Halfway achieved. Munchkin trying to play the time, trying to play the man, and Ban gonna keep him dead in this. Lovely work from T1. A much different approach into this now.
Great read on the fake, and as well, what worked for them last time was setting up for these retakes and having bodies to throw at it. Finally see the showstopper invested as well. Didn't amount to much, but cleared a lot of space, and luckily Ban actually regroups here with the rest of T1. He's not punished by this reflank from Chichu. So 3 unanswered. Coming to last, again, because of the plant. We'll be able to get rifles across the board here for EDG. And give it a chance, but doesn't catch nobody.
Well, this time. And it looks like Kankang already eyeing up that B site. Let's see who's here, though. Sire player doing his best turret impression.
What's tough here is if T1 feel as if they want to lean towards retakes, Howdong potentially has the molly and the orbital strike here.
I like this timing, though, as well. Just seeing nobody, once again, kind of investing utility a little later into the round, around that 1 minute. Just keeping those 3 players present. Kankang gonna get towards the site. Overwhelms. Munchkin's gone down. Now he looks at who else was here. Sire player, only good for 1. It's actually Kankang to get him 2, so Plant's gonna come in. 4v3, man advantage here to EDG.
No flank once again. It's all coming through spawn here. Chichu will find Carpe. It's only Zeta and Ban left to try and recover now. Couple of flashes to work with, but Zeta stuck on an operator.
Yeah, not
a tall order, Lauren.
Not easy at all. Ban gonna try and get across towards the site, maybe. But the flashes are there, and so's this man. He wants to end it in style, get this half done with. Oh, okay. Smoggy's got him. Don't worry. Smoggy's there. So a little bit of a kind of reminder of EDG's, I guess, capability of pace towards the end there. But it felt like this half was just 2 streaks. Yes, I'd say EDG came out the better of that, of course, with 8 rounds to their name, but kind of hot and cold a little throughout this.
I mean, thank God T1 got 4, to be honest. Very one-sided affair to start things off. But a massive lead for EDG to work with moving into the second half. I mean, last time this was 6-6.
Yeah, very different look between these two now. EDG maybe keeping that momentum in mind, working their way forward. This is looking much better from them, at least if you're looking pound for pound in that previous matchup. But that's our thoughts. What about the desk?
Thank you very much, Pansy and Hypoc. Yes, a massive improvement. And Kukuka, a lot of that came down to some of the cool nitty-gritties we saw from EDG.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to take a look at one of the rounds that we saw from them, especially round number 3. This is a bonus for them. So if we jump into it right away, I wanted to show how this round is all about the assisting. It's all about the control that comes from the other side. Actually, it's a round that revolves around Smoggy. He's 1 orb away from having his ultimate, and that is something that we can see just setting up how they want to play this round. We can see in the minimap that they're already moving towards Dish to grab that orb. From then on, they can choose what to do. They can decide how they're going to go onto the side. From the side of T1, though, we see that they're already ready to just have some pressure on A-hole to prevent this kind of things from happening, knowing that your breach is playing from sand. This is a play that we've seen time and time again. And if we play the clip, we can see how all of this is going to unravel. We see that they've put this smoke that is going to, you know, and not allow EDG to have that vision, and the support is going to come through. EDG gets that orb, that ult is going to be ready for Smoggy, and all this utility dumping comes from the other side, comes from T1. That second stun that we're seeing here, supporting EDG from mid-map, is from Smoggy. They're already running onto side. The plant is going to be secured, and it is a very clean round, and that is so important because getting the bonus grants you that economical superiority and also comfort moving into the rest of the half.
And I think that's what defined EDG's play in that first half, was their reactions and how good they were from this squad. But T1 did rally back, and it came down to their retakes. At the first part of the half, they were too heavily committing to playing on site and really getting punished by those executes. And when they were going for those forward plays, getting punished as well. But the retakes were working. They found the adaptation. The question is, do they have another answer into the second half?
Yeah, and the question is for EDG, Pansy and Hypo, can they close this one out convincingly?
I think that little caveat at the end there, Sue, is actually quite important, is convincingly. Yes, this is T1's map pick, but with 4 rounds, I'm not loving what we've seen from them so far. Yes, there was a little bit of a resurgence towards the end, but overall, it wasn't ideal. However, EDG, a little more convincing in their current form.
Sure, and EDG are actually demonstrating here they can slow down the tempo and still work the map on a macro level that really T1 are unable to find a response to. Kang here. Maybe a mini-map moment there. He's looking elsewhere, but Smoggy there to back him up.
Yeah. Gonna keep themselves healthy in this with 4 to the 3. The remaining 3 held back behind the smoke. This is gonna be a horrible way out. Smoggy turns the flash just perfectly. Stunning from Smoggy, and EDG will be grinning with that one.
Very quickly a chance for EDG to get themselves onto double digits here. Clean work from Smoggy. I'm curious in terms of the early round, if T1 are happy to try and identify the whereabouts of Kang, maybe wait out some utility here, or they're happy to just stack up and go for some of these executes. Again, pistol round, not necessarily an indicator for how the buy rounds will go. 4 people across the dish here. Maybe want to set the tone, or at least imply that there's going to be heavy pressure here.
I don't think anyone cared, though.
No.
He's like, cool, I'll put a flash there. Nice. That's about all they did. Second flash, we'll identify side player. I don't know how many obviously are behind that. And T1 not being particularly subtle, just maybe taking the tour for the orbs if they can. That'll be maybe on the list. Munchkin, gotta be cautious here, could easily go down. But now he's just gonna try and play on that corner. See who's prowling on the other side. Kang is there. Just about to drift away, though, not really feeling that presence. And the second attempt at drawing attention towards Dish is going to warrant a response. Smoggy, not really bothered by Munchkin here. Speaking of unbothered, oh, this man, just nasty with it. This is against pistols, though, so this won't be in the highlight reel, but it will be the 10th for EDG.
An answer back from T1, and we need it quick. 6 rounds separating them. They didn't even stack up orbs. I'm not even sure who took the second outside arcade here, so nothing to latch onto in terms of this first ult cycle.
What's the bonus looking like? What do we have? Okay.
I mean, it looks good because Kang's 2 off Bladestorm.
That does.
In my eyes, that's a good setup for EDG.
Oh, I saw a Bucky for a second. He opted against it. Unfortunate.
Oh, what's unfortunate is Munchkin solo on the other side of this outside of arcade. Kang looks like he might just play a deeper position here off the Nano Swarm.
Okay.
Ton of information from Chichu.
Can they deal with it, though? T1 will be outgunning them here, but already Chichu actually going to connect well. And it's how long to swing! Oh, this is tragic from T1. Crumbling under the pressure from EDG. We've got a boatload of upgrades now, and Munchkin is left reeling off of that.
So, whether or not he can catch the timing here on the first, yes, but 4 left to find. Chichu down to 10 HP. Nobody, though.
His timing on
the
these
reflank,
flanks.
yeah.
He's such a little rat the way he plays. It's so good. Look at him. There's no way you get around it. That's a rifle, a nice little reward for him as well. And EDG are just playing a much better game here. T1 look hesitant. They're not looking like they did before. They haven't had that spark to ignite them yet. Conversion of the bonus here has just made matters worse.
Yeah, so Chichu even stands his crown versus ban, where he's almost like isolated.
Enemy remaining.
But EDG's so much happier to absorb these side hits, and it's not even a scrap. It's just EDG swing all at the same time, and T1 are overwhelmed. They haven't got any tangibles. There's no comfort in terms of finding an engagement towards any player of EDG.
Yeah, and look, I think we've noted this from that first time they met up. When EDG are playing, you know, out of this world, we'll absolutely give them credit. But we have to also identify that T1 looks very flat here. Not having that same capability we saw in those first matchups, even that little bit of a spark against NRG, for example. They just look a little out of this game, not looking ready for this map at all. And I hate going to those intangibles of confidence, momentum. It's such, you know, wishy-washy phrasing, but I mean, EDG have it in droves, apparently. Whatever it is, they're confident, they're playing together, they are completely and utterly outdoing T1. This hasn't been a competitive game.
I mean, let's not forget as well that there was a map in that NRG series where it was on the back of ban. It was T1 were only still in the map because of ban.
Yes.
It was very top-heavy in here. Unfortunately, we haven't really got anybody from T1 standing tall in terms of the numbers, in terms of visible impact in some of these rounds. Unfortunately, an 8-4 half, we didn't see an early response here from T1. Will force a purchase here. Gaps in utility, 4 Bulldogs.
Gaps in armor.
Yeah.
Oh, this uncomfortable watching if you're a T1 fan. And this matchup just not quite delivering to the same expectation. Again, credit to EDG in that regard. They are playing beyond expectation, I guess. But T1, I want to see more from them.
Gonna run it down here.
Yep, looks pacey. Van quickly gonna make his way through sand. Oh, lovely start. That's the beginning. Is he gonna wake up here? Nobody's gone down as well. This is much better from T1. Pacey, filled with intent. And EDG left with 2, Chichu and Haodong. Looking at Chichu's positioning here, don't think he's gonna be able to get anywhere near enough in time to make any problems with that plant, but that's a shot, hold on. We're down to a 2v2 now. Van making this look almost worrying for T1 with him falling. Oh dear, what is going on? Munchkin traded back out a 1v1 now. Chichu up against Munchkin. Chichu getting a little closer here. Munchkin waiting. Gonna hear these steps, gonna note those shots. And he waits, he better hit this shot. Chichu closing the gap now, the tag! And he's got him!
Chichu spams the pre-fire and then swings onto it. I think Munchkin even eats a headshot on that first spam.
It looks like it. Oh dear. And that was the best round we'd had yet. I thought that could have been the instigating round that maybe got
Pace change looked beautiful for T1.
Confident, powerful to it.
Yeah.
You take them when you get them.
And the one thing EDG don't need in this map so far is freebies like that.
Yeah.
The coin flips go in their way as well.
Oh dear. Operator out. How much is in the tank for T1?
Looking to continue with this pace, looking to pinch on that side here, but Kankang in the backlines, he's found Munchkin. Look at where that kill is.
I know, I just said how far has he gone exploring for this? T1 looking to try and be aggressive on it, but EDG still holding so much of that territory. How long going to send Carpe away? Sire players, Zeta and Ban are the only 3 alive. And it's for more for how long than anything. Kankang is on the hunt. He wants blood. He's out for it. Ban puts him to bed, but it's all on Ban and it's all but done. EDG stormed through map 1. T1 shattered by that form.
Can barely hold a light up against EDG, to be honest with you. Playing a totally different tempo than they did the other day. Like I said, T1 just didn't have, you know, examples of rounds that felt sustainable.
None.
That felt repeatable for them. And this was, unfortunately, just a story of first bloods. I think T1 managed 3 overall on this map, constantly playing from a deficit.
This is going to be a very hard map to quickly forget for T1. They just got blown out of the water. EDG coming out, firing on all cylinders though. Credit to them for that. But I wanted more from T1, at least on map 1. This was their map pick. You walked into it, and you didn't make your impact today.
Wow, Murray, because we go to Haven, that was the only map for the veto last time that wasn't close. EDG completely outclassed T1 in the second half. I think T1 managed 1 round, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, gosh.
And again, it was another example of where they're able to scrape 1 across the line. It wasn't as if they were closely contested. EDG were constantly in control.
Yeah, this is scary times for T1. They are going to need to wake up. Take a second or two walk away backstage, take some fresh air here because they cannot perform like that. EDG have turned up like they want that playoff spot. Like it means the world to them because it does. They have fought so hard to get here and they're now one map away.
Playing like they're worthy of it here today as well. You come out onto this stage with a rematch and embarrass T1 like that in the opening map. And you got to feel good about coming into Haven if you're EDG.
The stars are aligning for EDG. One more map in front of them. The dream of playoffs is tangible, it's real, and it's there. Does T1 have anything left to bring to the plate? They have to do it now. They have to turn up for map 2, or it's all but over.